All right, so now we have to move on to the second speaker, which is our own, very own host, Dr. Safarina Malik. Yeah, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ayarit. I would like to share my screen and share sound and video. Okay. Okay. Can you see my presentation?
All right, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share our experience in collecting samples and analyzing samples from traditional, what you call traditional or remote populations in Indonesia. Later session today, Asya will explain about the analysis in more in depth. So we all know that human populations is very diverse because we are influenced by lifestyle, genetics, and gut microbes. And all of the three interact and interlinking each other to form and determine the human health. We know already from previous speaker that there is a high inter-individual variations regarding the gut microbes, and also the gut, the bacteria in our not only actually it's not only in our gut but in all over our body influence the metabolism of and determine our total health or our overall and health. Because sorry, what is it? What is it? Okay. Is that a problem? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think something is blocking your screen. Okay, it's better.
Okay. So how is it now? Can you see? Ayarit, is it okay now?
Actually, there's some. Oh, okay, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So we already know that all of the database of the microbiomes, mostly from the fecal samples and guts, are consisted of the European descendants or Caucasians origins. So they are still underrepresented communities. However, before we continue and explore further, because this is what have been the highlight of the microbiota world is preserving the traditional populations, we should also consider the ethics on how doing research together with the community. Sorry. Okay. So 6 principles of the framework is understand existing regulations, which is not easy, foster collaboration, build cultural competency, improve transparency, support capacity, and disseminate research findings. After all of these ethical frameworks being considered, then collaboration will be very smooth. Okay. Next. Okay, Indonesia is a very diverse archipelago. It's ethnically diverse, biodiversity diverse, etc. So it's a huge country from west to east, and population is number 4th in the world and consisted of 300 to 500 ethnic groups. It's very diverse in terms of ethnics and language groups. And what we are trying to study is to see, because of the huge country from west to east, we could see the differences when it is in big cities, metropolitan cities. Then you will encounter or discover a lot more metabolic disease or immune-related disease in the big cities. But however, in a more remote area, it is less. That's what we assume. But we still need to understand what is the influence that caused that. So what we are trying to study now is to consider the host factors, genetic background, immunological state, the environment, and also the gut microbes. The three-parted will influence the host that, and this study, we developed this with our collaborator, Andy Holmes. We call it the IMELDA, Indonesian Model for Epidemic Lifestyle Disease Associations. Okay, this is what so far our sampling sites. We cannot cover the whole Indonesia because it's so vast. What we have now is the urban and rural Balinese, Punan Aput, that is in the there's a village called Longsule in the heart of Borneo. To get there, we need to fly with a small plane. And then there's also Punan Tubuh Respen. This population has been relocated for 40 years from the forest into the suburban. And then this is their origin populations. And then the Punan Batu, the hunter-gatherer, they still hunt and gather. They live in rock caves. And then the Basap, that's already settled, but they live near the shore. And then also Asmat people from Papua, a small number of them. So I want to share with you, I don't know whether you can see this. This is one way to get to our sampling sites. And then there's another way. We have to go through rivers. So in order to preserve the fecal samples in this remote area, it's not easy. Like this is in the big city, and this week travel with quite fast boat. But like here, it's difficult. There's no electricity, and we have to preserve them. Bringing the dry shipper is not easy too. That's why we are still trying to communicate with the Microbiota Vault on the strategy and efforts to preserve these samples. So one of our interesting results that has been published is that urban Balinese, this is urban Balinese who lives in Denpasar, the capital city of the Bali province, with easy access. It's just like any other metropolitan cities. They are clustered between pre-industrial, the Malawian Guahibo Amerindians, and Hadza hunter-gatherers, and industrial societies. So we could see clearly here how the transition has influenced the Balinese, although they still eat the typical Indonesian staple food, rice, and also not so much of a protein. But we could see here how they shifted from the more pre-industrialist or traditional gut microbes type to a more industrialized one. Asha will explain further regarding the analysis of this particular group. So we are worried that people all thought that Indonesia is still is still traditional, but it's not. Actually, it's not traditional at all. We are seeing in front of us the shift to more industrialized and less diverse gut microbes. And when we combine the analysis with the other population, here is the red dots is the Balinese, urban Balinese. They are like kind of located or clustered in different region than the rest of the samples. It's the blue one, for example, it's Padawa, it's Balinese. They are the same they have the same genetic backgrounds, but they live differently. One in the metropolitan city, one in a more rural area, although it's still accessible using the 3-hour drives from the big city. When we look deeper into the analysis, when we divided it Kalimantan and Bali, for example, the Kalimantan is the Borneo ones, they are similar one to another, while the Balinese show that they are divided into two clusters. So the blue one is the rural ones, the red dots ones, they are the big cities one. The red dots were the one that has been analyzed together with the other populations, that pre-industrialized and the industrialized populations previously. So we also take some data of lifestyle and general health components. Sometimes it's not easy to get information because, for example, the hunter-gatherer, they cannot really, when we ask about the diet questionnaire, they cannot really explain what have they been eating, because they have like more than 10 types of roots that they can eat. So what are their names? It's difficult. It's not in the database of our food. Sorry. So, and dietary component, so we basically group them into roots, tuber, etc. And animal-based food, of course, they will be different. If they eat wild boar and they eat pork, the composition, the fat and the protein will be different. But it's not easy because sometimes they eat wild boar, sometimes they eat small animals, something like that. Sometimes they don't eat, they cannot hunt animal at all. And also active component, activity component assessed in terms of active component. Here is also not easy because, for example, the people who lives in the Punan Aput who lives in Long Sule, the settled village, but it's still located in the middle of the forest, they are more sedentary compared to the one that still hunt and gather what they need from the forest. And also we take notes into sedentary component and other component. General health was assessed by measurements of anthropometry, blood pressure, and when possible, glucose, lipid, and uric acid using point of care tests. But sometimes it's still not possible. Most of these areas, they don't have electricity, so we have to make do with whatever we can do. So in summary, Indonesia is very diverse in terms of genetics, gut microbes, culture, and lifestyle. And urban population have already shown indication of gut microbiota transition. If we look at the Riskus data of the Balinese, they are mostly taken from the bigger cities, not like the village of like Padawa. The obesity prevalence, the diabetes mellitus prevalence is increasing each time we do the National Health Survey. And this is what we found is emphasizing the importance to preserve microbiota from traditional populations. And we never know when we will be able to reverse what we are observing now. So with that, I would like to acknowledge all of the people that has contributed and support this activity. It's not an easy activity. This is a small boat that we use to travel to the inner side of Kalimantan. And thank you, and I'm ready to take your question. Thank you.
Okay, are we going to have a question now, or maybe
no, later after your presentation? I will
All
chair
right.
for you.
Okay.
We'll take turn. It's so funny. Okay. Thank you, Irit. The next speaker will be Irit Sutiku. I met him in November. It's so surprising. We've never known each other before, but because of this symposium, we now have a network. Okay, so Irit, the time is yours. You have 15 minutes. Thank you.